Today we are going to discuss about one of the most important protozoan parasite which is very important and very easily infected in one person from another person. That is the Cryptosporidium Parvum. Cryptosporidium Parvum, which is present worldwide in distribution, and this is most commonly found waterborne protozoan parasites, and their systematic position is phylum Apicom Plexa and class Conoidacida, and order is Eucosidiorida. Order is Eucosidiorida, and family is Cryptosporididae, genus the Cryptosporidium, species the Parvum. This is the common protozoan parasites, and they are inhabited in the small intestine of human being, or in some cases in the lungs also, and they are also present in the liver also, but usually they inhabited in the small intestine. Actually, the transmission of this protozoan parasite is through the transmission of the second stage oocysts. The infected stage oocysts are usually transmitted along with the feces of that infected person. So these are all about their systematic position. Then the next is the structure, that means morphology of Cryptosporidium parvum. Morphology. They are scattered in the epithelial cell lining of the small intestine. They are scattered in the epithelial lining of the small intestine, and when their number is exceed more than 10, then infection can occur. Then, due to their different stages inside the body of their definitive host, they have different structure. For example, they have different structure, and the thick wall oocyst is usually present along with the feces of the infected person, and the oocyst is usually two types. One is thick wall and the another is thin wall oocyst. This is the thick wall oocyst, which are passes along with the feces of the infected person. This is the oocyst. This is the oocyst. Which is the oocyst, thick wall oocyst. Thick wall oocyst, which is usually rounded, and the diameter is 4 to 6 into 4 to 6 micrometer in diameter. That is, it may be ranges from 4 to 6 and 4 to 6 ranges in diameter of micrometer. This is the thick wall oocyst, and the another is the thin wall, which can auto-infect their definitive host. The main structure is their wall is slightly thinner than that of this thick wall oocyst. Then the thin wall is, it can auto-infect it. Then the next morphological structure which enter inside the body of their definitive host is the sporozoites. The sporozoites are usually elongated. These are the sporozoites. Sporozoites having a diameter of 1 into 2.3 micrometer in diameter. This is the another stage of these protozoan parasites. Then the next stage is the trophozoites. The next stage is the trophozoites. The trophozoites are just like this. They have slightly rounded body, and there is some area where the internal structure are usually developed just like this, and this is the covering of the sporozoites, and this is for the release of that internal gamete structure, which is known as the trophozoite. This is the trophozoite. Trophozoite having a diameter of 2 to 4 into 2 to 4 micrometer in diameter. Then the next stage is the type 1 meron and the type 2 meron stage, where merozoites are usually formed under this. That is, from the trophozoite to the type 1 meron stages, one structure is usually developed, which is known as the merozoite, which is again elongated in structure, and this is the merozoite having a diameter of 1 into 2.3 micrometer in diameter. This is about the type 1 meron stages. That is about the asexual cycle of this protozoan parasite. Then the next stage is the type 1 meron and the type 2 meron. From this type 1 meron, it undergo into type 2 meron, where sexual cycle is usually developed. Then this is about the type 1 meron. Structure of type 1 meron. This is a structure of type 1 meron. And here gametes are usually early development of the mature gametes are usually developed here, just like this. And this is their internal structure. These are their internal structure. These are the type 1 meron. For this parasite, there are three different stages: oocyst, meront, and the gamete stages. Then from this, type 2 meront is usually developed, but the structure is same with the same diameter of about 4.0 into 4.8. 4.8 micrometer is the diameter of the type 1 meront. After this, the microgametes and the macrogametes are usually developed. The macrogametes are the female and the microgametes are the male. So, these are the microgametes. These are the microgametes or macrogametes. Macrogamete or macrogametes. These are the macrogametes or gametes. The same word, having a diameter of 4 to 8.6 into micrometer. This is about the macrogametes and this is about the microgametes. Microgametes. From this microgametes, which is the male structure, it forms microgametes. This is the microgametocyte. Microgametocyte and having a diameter of 3 to 3.5. 3 to 3.5 into 3 to 3.5 micrometer in diameter. These are the, and from this it gives microgametes. These are the microgametes having a size of 1.5 into 0.5 micrometer. These are the different structure of this protozoan parasite which enter in different stages inside the body of their definitive host, and these are their different morphological structure. Due to the different stages in their life cycle, they have different morphological structure. So these are all about their morphological structure. And then life cycle. Life cycle of Cryptosporidium Parvum. Life cycle of Cryptosporidium Parvum. Usually, the life cycle is usually started when the oocysts are present This is all about their life cycle. Then the oocysts are present in the soil, that is, they are present in the environment, which are usually passes along with the feces of the infected person. This is the life cycle of Cryptosporidium Parvum. Let's see. The Cryptosporidium Parvum are usually present in the small intestine of definitive hosts. For example, in case of the human beings, they are inhabited in the small intestine of human being, and also in some cases also they are present in the lungs as well as in the liver also. So the thick wall oocysts are usually released along with the feces of the definitive host or of the from the infected person feces. Along with the feces, they are present in the soil, and they can contaminate the recreational water, for example swimming pool, or contaminated food, or with the contaminated hands. And these thick wall oocysts can be transferred to other person through ingestion of the contaminated water or through ingestion of the contaminated food, or in some recreational water also. And also it releases two types of the oocysts, one with thick wall oocysts and another is thin wall oocysts. But the thin wall oocysts can also auto-infect by the same host, by the same definitive host which releases these oocysts. They can auto-infect through their contaminated hands or from the surrounding environment which is contaminated with these oocysts. Then after ingestion of these oocysts, different cycles are usually formed. These are the different cycles. Let's see. This is the thick wall oocyst, which is the infected stage oocyst. This is ingested by the definitive host, that is for example man, and when it enters inside the body, it reaches the stomach. That from the stomach it penetrates the wall of the it penetrates the wall of the stomach, and it reaches to the small intestine, where in the small intestine it develops into different stages. First, these oocysts are usually developed into elongated structure sporozoids. Then from the sporozoids it develops into trophozoid. From the infection of within 12 to 2 days, these sporozoids develop into trophozoid stage. After the development of the trophozoid stage, it enters two different cycles. One is the asexual cycle, the another is the sexual cycle. This trophozoid in the asexual cycle can give into type 1 meron. But this type 1 meron forms the merozoid. But this merozoid can also form trophozoid. This is the reversible cycle. That is, in case of the asexual cycle, merozoid can also form trophozoid. Then, after the formation of the merozoid, it develops into type 2 meron. Then, from the type 2 meron, it gives into the another merozoid which enters sexual cycle. And for this parasite, it has three different cycles. The first one is the oocyst, second is the meron cycle, and the third one is the gamon cycle. We discuss here is the meron cycle. First meron is formed. After the formation of the first meron, type 2 meron is usually formed where merozoids are developed. Then after development of the merozoids, there will be formation of the microgamons, and the macrogamons are usually formed. The macrogamons are the female side and the microgamons are the male side. These microgamons give microgametes, and with the fertilization of the macrogamons, the zygotes are usually formed. So, in the epithelial cells of the small intestine, these zygotes are formed. After the formation of the zygote, again form the oocysts. That is, two types of the oocysts. One is thick cell, another is thin cell. So, these are the life cycle of this protozoan parasite. I repeat again. The oocysts are usually passes along with the feces of the infected person, and these oocysts contaminate water as well as food, and the man can get infected by ingestion of the contaminated food or by drinking of that contaminated water which contain such type of the infected stage oocysts. So, but these oocysts having also thin wall oocysts which can again reinfect. After the ingestion of that type of the oocysts inside our body, the infection can occur. It comes through stomach, then reaches the small intestine, When this oocyst reaches in the small intestine, then their life cycle begins. These oocysts develop into the sporozoites, which is the first stage. Then next is the trophozoite. After the development of the trophozoite, it undergoes two cycles. One is the asexual, another is the sexual cycle. Then this trophozoite is undergo type 1 meron and from the merozoite, then to the type 2 meron, and it again skip into the gamete cycle. In these gamete cycles, it forms microgametes as well as macrogametes, and the microgametes is usually male side, macrogamete is usually female side. By fusion of the fertilization, with the help of the fertilization, they form the zygote. And after formation of the zygote, the thick wall and the thin wall infective stage oocyst is usually formed. So, these are all about the life cycle of Cryptosporidium parvum, and the duration of the life cycle of this Cryptosporidium parvum is 2 to 3 weeks, which is usually counted after the ingestion of the thick wall oocyst. This is all about the pathogenicity, that means, this is all about the life cycle of Cryptosporidium parvum. Then, the next is the disease, that means pathogenicity. The disease caused by this parasite, pathogenicity. The disease caused by this parasite is known as the cryptosporidiosis, and this cryptosporidiosis is usually different in different individuals. That is immunocompetent patient and immunocompromised patient. Here, what is immunocompetent and the immunocompromised patient? The main difference is that the immunocompetent patient means those normal individuals who is having no disease, whereas in case of the immunocompromised patient means those patients, for example, HIV patient, just like that. So, for this disease, they are having different treatment for that different individual. Then, the disease caused by this parasite is known as the cryptosporidiosis. Cryptosporidiosis. This is the disease caused by this protozoan parasite, and the disease is spread from person to person after the parasite, or it can be also self-ingested. So, it can be through the contaminated water, soil, food, or surfaces that can be contaminated with feces from the infected person. For example, it is also spread to the contaminated human droplets. Then the symptoms are the watery diarrhea. The symptoms are the watery diarrhea. Then stomach cramp. Then or pain, stomach cramp or pain, then dehydration, then nausea, vomiting, and lack of appetite. These are the main symptoms for this disease, that is cryptosporidiosis. But symptoms can be developed after the ingestion of this oocyst after 10 days of the ingestion of the oocyst. And this is all about their symptom. Then what about their epidemiology? Epidemiology of this protozoan parasite. Epidemiology. Epidemiology is found worldwide. It is found worldwide. It is found worldwide and it causes 50.8% of waterborne disease. 50.8% of waterborne disease. And in the developing countries, developing countries, 8 to 19% of diarrheal diseases can be contributed to Cryptosporidium. Can be attributed to Cryptosporidium. I repeat again, it can be causes 50.8% of waterborne diseases, and in developing countries 8 to 19% of diarrheal disease can be attributed to Cryptosporidium. And the age group most affected are children from 1 to 9 years old. The affected age group are children from 1 to 9 years old. These are about the epidemiology. Then the next is the treatment. What about the treatment of this disease? In the treatment there will be 3 different groups. In the treatment there will be 3 different groups. Number 1, the symptomatic treatment. In the symptomatic treatment, primarily involve fluid rehydration, electrolyte replacement. Fluid rehydration, electrolyte replacement. This is the number 1 treatment for symptomatic treatment. And supplement of zinc. Supplement of zinc may improve symptoms. This is all about the symptomatic treatment. Then the next is the immunocompetent patient. Immunocompetent. That means the patient who is having no disease, no earlier report or history of diseases. And the 4th is patient. The drugs are the nitazoxanide. Zoxanide is the drug which is usually given by doctor for the treatment of this cryptosporidiosis. And the another patient is the immunocompromised patient. Immunocompromised patient, that is such as S patient, where the diarrhea may be 15 liters per day, and the best treatment is to improve the immune status, and the best treatment is try to improve their immune system, and with the antiretroviral therapy and the combination of nitazoxanide, nitazoxanide with peromomione, and azithromycin It is the treatment for that H patient. So these are the three types of the treatment depending upon their type of the condition of that patient. That is, one is the symptomatic treatment, the another is the immunocompetent treatment where no disease in the early history are usually in that cases, whereas in case of the immunocompromised, that is as patient, these drugs are usually given by doctor. Then the another is the last point is the preventive measure. The last point is the preventive measure. Preventive measure number 1, reservoir for public drinking water. Reservoir for public drinking water. Production should use conventional filtration technology. Conventional filtration technologies, as this protozoan parasite is a waterborne disease. That's why reservoir for public drinking water production should use conventional filtration technologies due to the prevention of these diseases. Then number 2, the most reliable way to decontaminate drinking water is to boil water before drinking if that water is normal from water supply. That is, the drinking water should be boiled. which is normally get from the water supply, not mineral water. The common water which we get from the water supply, from the PICD. Then the third point is the Number three is the best way to prevent getting respiratory cryptosporidium is to have good hygiene and sanitation. Number 4, have good hygiene and sanitation. Have good hygiene and sanitation. And number 5, people should avoid contact with animal feces. Avoid contact with animal feces. And number 5, avoid contaminated food and the water. Contaminated food and water. These are all about the structure, life cycle, their different stages, then the disease caused by this Cryptosporidium Parvum and their epidemiology, their treatment and the preventive measure. So these are all about this protozoan parasite. So for today's class, it is over.